previously on Gearz.
Now, Daisy, if you think of family names in Formula One or motor racing in general, who would, the Schumacher brothers?
Yes, I was going to say Schumacher.
The Schumacher brothers. Then you've had like Gilles Villeneuve and Jacques Villeneuve. You've had Graham Hill, Damon Hill, those kind of things. When we get to South African motorsport, when you mention the name van der Linde, it's like a family tree of just achievement. Okay, because I think, and I'm standing under correction, but I would have to have somebody with an incredible knowledge of South African motorsport. I don't think there is a family that has been as successful as the van der Linde family. Starting with Henny van der Linde, then Sean van der Linde, then his brother Etienne van der Linde, and now the youngest ever South African champion was crowned this week at Kyalami, the final round of the Westbank Super Series in the VW Cup. Kelvin van der Linde joins us in studio. He had to take time off school. Kelvin, great to have you here, man.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
16 years old, which means his mother had to drive him here. That must have been a bit painful.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now, but yeah.
I suppose you can't wait to get the learners.
Yeah, well, that's the first step, and then when I'm 18, I'll be tearing up the roads a bit. So
it must be quite cool though, if your parents take you out, to one of their like functions with their mates, and they maybe have like one glass of wine too many. At least they know you're capable of getting them home.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's one positive.
First of all, Kelvin, congratulations! What an astonishing achievement, youngest ever. In South Africa to win in the premium category of motor racing, and it all happened this past weekend. So the nerves must have been pretty hectic.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks leading up to the event, many sleepless nights. We had a tough Cape Town, and when you come off a low performance in the previous round, you always have your doubts. But in the end, it all came good, and I'm very relieved, to say the least.
Well, now, I mean, you especially at home. I mean, you got bragging rights now. Dad's second now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been very grateful. My dad is a major role in my life, so he still is the king there, but catching up slowly.
Which is quite amazing. Let's just talk a little bit about the family history. I mean, it was just inevitable that you were going to get involved in some kind of motor racing. I mean, starting with your grandfather, who is, just one of the most accomplished men in South Africa motorsport. And then with your father, who's also achieved just about everything when it comes to motorsport. Was there any sort of pressure on you to actually go and do it? Or did it just sort of wake up and go, Dad, I want to go and do this?
Oh, well, from the age of 3, I was already next to the racetrack, and the bug caught me very quickly. So it's never been a force, I'd say. I've always wanted to do it myself, and but obviously as you get older, the pressure does come along with it. You almost expect it to perform because of the history that your family has set before you. But I'm lucky enough that I've had the right path carved for me, and I'm following it, and so far it's been good.
So where did you start in go-karts?
Yeah, at the age of 5 I started on quads actually, and
it's a bit late for us, Daisy.
Damn.
Quads.
Yeah,
okay.
For 2 years, but it was a bit dangerous. My mom didn't really approve of that, so I moved on to a kart, and pretty soon caught the hang of things, and we started moving up, and eventually won our first championship in 2008.
So from karts, why did you not continue in going into, for example, Formula VW? Why did you go the sort of circuit racing, tin top production car kind of route?
Well, you know what? I think my uncle's been there. He's done that, and it is a very difficult part of motor racing. It's a big budgets that go that way, and in all honesty, my passion's always been in touring car racing. Obviously, my dad, and later on, my uncle also went to touring cars. It's just for me, it's way more exciting, and I think, if you've got the right things, you move up a bit quicker, and there's so much vary. Compared to single seaters where there's only one thing where you aim for, it's F1, And in touring cars, I mean, there's various things that you can go to, so it's a bit more of a wider playing field, I'd say.
No, that's a very, very clever way of thinking as well. Is this your second year in VW?
Yes.
So
That's
second
right.
year.
Yeah.
I remember I raced with you in the first year. Well, I didn't race with you. You raced and I just drove at the back. So it's only your second year, and it is. I mean, we've spoken about it at length here on Gearz. It is the most competitive formula out there. I mean, everybody has basically got something. The cars are exactly the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a big credit to VW. I mean, the one make series are generally the best series worldwide if you look across the world. So I think it was the best option for us to go. It was it's cost effective, and it's a nice ground for you to establish yourself with equal equipment, and obviously a lot of new rookies that are coming up and trying to prove their worth.
And they also, as much as you guys make it look relatively simple to drive around a track, they actually quite a handful, those little polos. I mean, you really have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year it was a big handful for me. We got the odd top 3. But nowhere near to what we've been able to achieve this year. So it's a big learning curve, and you never stop learning. So I've still got a lot of learning to do myself, and this is just the second step of my career.
Yeah, which is an incredible achievement. Second year only in it. It's also one of those series, Kelvin, that there's no inch given. You guys race really, really hard, but I think it has also progressed. So instead of it being a stock car kind of a race, the guys really, they try and give each other a little bit of space, but you do get a couple of cowboys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the passion that I have in touring cars. It's not like a single seater where if you touch, you've got you stuck in the wall. So it's definitely great fun. And the guys, they are respectful, but I mean it does take a couple of races to earn the respect. Last year I was a rookie and I was getting pushed around. So now this year, I've stepped up a bit, and a bit more respect is in order.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, because coming in as a youngster, you're racing against, I mean, the category has changed over the last couple of years. So, I mean, you don't get too many older guys competing in it, but they do have the Masters category. So, I mean, some of those guys have been doing it for 10, 12, 15 years or whatever, and they see a young 15-year-old coming along there, they're going to go, well, we'll teach you a thing or two.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's really one of the great things about Polo Cup. It's a mixture of age and talent. I mean, you get the experienced guys that have been there for 10 years, like you say, and it helps you learn from the more experienced guys like that. And it gives you the opportunity to drive against people that are your age as well. Obviously, Jordan Pepper, that races against me. We've been racing for a long time together, and I think between me and him, we've set the field alight this year. Yeah,
definitely. I think a lot of people are scratching their heads and now trying to work out how they're going to get quicker. But I suppose it also is very exciting because I think a lot of other younger people, sort of people your age who may be racing in other categories, may look at it and say, geez, this is where we really should be. And now we get a whole brand new, fresh breath of new talent coming through.
Yeah, well, I mean, because there's so many young drivers, I mean, it just opens up from a sponsorship point of view. I mean, the companies want to get involved with an up-and-coming star. And I mean, Polo Cup is the leading series in my eyes in South Africa. And I think for anyone that wants to start out, I mean, it's a prime ground to start,
Before we talk about advice and guidance and all of those kind of things that maybe you had from various parts of your family, does winning this championship, does VW now offer you something a little bit different? Do you have an opportunity to go and race in a series internationally? How does this open a door for you?
Well, VW have had the exchange program with Germany for a couple of years now, and it's been it was off for a year and it's now been returned. So that exchange program I'm going to take part in next year in the Sirocco R Cup. So I mean, that opens masses of doors. I mean, the Sirocco R Cup is a big series overseas.
Sure.
And if you can do well there, I mean, you open to the world of touring cars,
That's for sure. Now, when do you go over? I mean, hopefully they give you at least a couple of days or whatever, or a week or two to, drive the car. It's going to be completely different, a lot more power, and also setup. I mean, so do they look after you quite well?
I would say, I mean, the VW have subsidized a lot of the stuff in VW Cup to make the series so much more cheaper for everyone to be able to participate. And after the series, I mean, they do look after you. They've definitely helped me look out for future plans that we are trying to plan for next season. And yeah, I mean, VW do their part for sure.
And talking about Scirocco Cup, I mean, do you go over there? Do you race in one race, or do you race a couple of them? How does that exchange thing work?
Well, you go over there and compete in one of the rounds over there, I think mid-season.
Okay.
But you know, we've taken it upon ourselves to try and apply for that for next season. And yeah, VW have helped us through the application process. So yeah, like I say, I mean, VW have done their bit for us, and yeah, we're very thankful for them.
Okay, so we might lose you to our circuit racing next year.
It is a possibility, but yeah, we'll see what contracts come our way. We have been offered a couple here locally, but you know, we'll take it as it comes.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Now, let's talk a little bit about this season, about how it started, where you got to. You were a points leader, then guys started catching you, and then the final couple of races. Just give us a little bit of an idea of how it went, how it started to the middle, and then towards the end.
Well, beginning of the season, we had a very good leap. We got, I think, 5 podiums in the first 5 races, which was excellent. We just kept our heads, and you know, we built up a reasonable lead in the championship. And then halfway through the season, we thought, you know, we started to tone down a bit and take the back seat, which was the wrong thing to do. Mm-hmm. And things started catching up with us, and we had a couple of bad races, a couple of mechanical failures. So it caught back up to us, and we had a fight on our hands for the last 2 races. But in the end, we pulled through, got the double win at Kyalami. So yeah, it was a big relief, like I said, because all those stressful nights, you don't know which way it's going to go. So yeah, it was very stressful times.
And how was it? I mean, being at home with your dad and maybe even your uncle and your grandfather sitting in there. Did they put any other kind of pressure, or did they advise you? How was that process to sit there and say, okay, Kyalami coming up? This is what we require you to do, Kelvin. I mean, were there heated arguments? Was it very composed?
Yeah, well, I think they play different roles. You know, each of them have their contribution. My uncle's the very laid back, calm guy that keeps me calm when I am feeling under pressure. My dad gives me the old pep talk. You know, he has been there before. He's experienced the whole lot.
Sure.
So yeah, I learned a lot from my dad, and my grandfather also very calm and collected. And you know, as a combination, all of that just made it the success that it was.
Yeah, that is terrific to hear. And I assume, I mean, between your dad and your grandfather setting up the car, helping you as much as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, racing is very much a team effort, and without my dad and grandfather putting in the hundreds of hours that they do, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here as SA champion.
And when it comes to you as a driver and you from a technical point of view, Kelvin, I mean, do you believe that the feedback you give to them is spot on, or do they maybe sit there and say, try this? Which way does it work?
Well, you know what, over the years, it's through the karting days, it is a very big learning process, and I was fortunate enough to spend my fair share of years in karting, and I think that's helped me, you know, recognize all the issues with the car. Obviously, I'm still relatively new to the main circuit side of things, but you know, on the basic setup advice, you know, I know what I want from the car, and I can give it to the engineers. And yeah, like my dad and my grandfather, they obviously know what to look for if something is wrong. And yeah, together, you know, it's a team effort, and that's why it's such a success.
It's quite a difference getting from a go-kart into a normal road-going kind of car. I mean, lines are completely different on race circuits. Your grips are different. How was that transition for you? Was it relatively simple?
Well, you know what, I think it was sped up for sure. You know, my family guided me very much. My uncle Etienne spent many hours in the car with me my first time out, and together, you know, with my dad, everyone, we built up a quick learning curve, and we for sure cut it quite short.
Yeah, well, it's incredible. From 2008, it was karting.
Yeah.
And basically here as a South African champion. I mean, that's quite an extraordinary jump. I would hope that we don't lose you to South African circuit racing at least for another year. But I mean, if the Scirocco R Cup comes along, geez, you got to take it. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got to do things while you're young. Kelvin, which was also on Balls Radio a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's the same age as me, and he's already got a Red Bull draft. So, we have a bit of catching up to do. But that's what we're trying to do, and hopefully things pan out right.
Yeah, but your path, as you say, I mean, you're more interested in the sort of touring car kind of thing, Scirocco R Cup. I mean, there's Aussie V8s, there's DTM. I mean, Europe is more than likely where Mom's going to have to come and babysit you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my dream since a kid's been to drive DTM or something along the World Endurance Series side of things.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to strive for, and that's what I'm gonna aim for. And I've been working hard my whole life, and I strongly believe that it's going to happen one day.
Listen, I have no doubt that it will. In terms of schooling or whatever, surely that's also got to be some kind of priority to make sure that you do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got to get through school. We've got to have a bit of a brain as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I balance it well. This year we haven't battled at all. Obviously, next year will be a bit more of a challenge with if we do go overseas.
Yeah.
But, I think we'll take it as it comes, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
And how is it at school? I mean, you win the championship, you go back to school on Monday. I mean, do the people at your school know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very lucky to have a great bunch of friends. My geography class is actually watching right now.
Oh, fantastic.
And, I mean, it's been praised since I got back to school on Monday morning, and I'm very grateful for my school, Danefern College.
I hope they're going to give you full colours.
Yeah.
For motorsport.
I hope so too, but we'll have to wait and see. But
Or take the geography teacher's car and, show them how to drive it a bit. Who's the geography teacher?
Miss Walpert.
Miss Walpert?
Yeah.
Sounds like she's got a nice little car. What does she drive?
I have no idea, actually.
I think you've got to find out, Kelvin.
Yeah, I think we will.
Maybe just take her for a driving lesson.
Yeah, I think
at
that's
high speed.
Yeah, for sure.
Around the Danefern ground. Maybe around the whole Danefern College.
Yeah,
just don't go on the golf course, because if you do that, your parents are going to be in big trouble. They're going to have to...
Yeah, I'll leave that to my brother.
Oh, okay, your brother. Oh, yeah, he's got the golf cart.
Yeah,
no, that's okay. So that'll be okay. Well, but the thing about it is from here, youngsters like yourself, as you mentioned, Jordan Pepper as well. Who are the guys this year that worried you the most on circuit in terms of performance?
Well, I think Polo Cup is so competitive. Most of the races this season, the top 17 were covered by less than a second. So. They for sure the top 10, you can't rule any of them out for a win. But to be specific, I'd say Jordan obviously he's had a strong end to the season.
Yeah.
Devin, who finished second to me in the championship, past champion as well. And then Matthew Hodges, the guy that's won the championship twice in a row. So a lot of talent, and the guys know what they're doing, and I mean, all of them are just great drivers. Yeah,
they really are. I mean, it's actually a fantastic series to watch as well. Going forward, as you say, perhaps next year you might be racing internationally, which would be fantastic for you. Also fantastic, I think, for South African motorsport. I think it's something we also need a couple of more drivers out in the open and actually getting some exposure for South African motorsport as well. If you look back at the season that's gone by, yes, you've won the championship. Is there anything maybe you would have changed or you might have done differently somewhere along the line?
I think halfway through the season we kind of lost our heads a bit, we settled down a bit too much, and that was a mistake. I mean, you have to push all the way to the end, and I mean that's something that I've learned now. I'm going to take with me for many more years to come. Yeah,
exactly. It's a strange kind of thing. If you look at the Formula One season this year, you've had Alonso, who just is driving the wheels off a car that's actually not that great compared to what the Red Bull is, but you just never give up. In 2007, Kimi Räikkönen won the World Championship in the last race, and you sit there and think about it, he shouldn't have. So you can never give up until mathematically you can't lose.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you mentioned now with Kimi, it was the same situation with me. I mean, Devin caught me by 50 points in 3 race meetings, so it was a bit of a worry. But we had to bounce back. I mean, we had to do the job, and that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, and eventually, once the visor goes down, Kelvin, it's, well, get to the first corner first.
Yeah, for sure.
It is always great. Kelvin, it's great to have you in the studio. Thank you, Miss Walpert, for letting him off his class today. Are you going back to school today?
I hope not.
No, I don't think so. No, he's very busy. He's actually, sorry, Miss Walpert, he's staying here for the whole day. He's staying here for the whole day. Kelvin, congratulations. Please let us know as soon as you've decided and it's all decided what you're going to be doing. Please let us know, because we'd love to come and get you in studio again and then come and chat to us some more.
For sure, and thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. There we go. Kelvin van der Linde, youngest ever South African champion in the VW Polo Series, and it comes from an incredible line of successful van der Lindes in South Africa. Great to have you in the studio. Wish you all of the best. Congratulations.
At the next intersection, turn on
Gearz with Sasha Martinengo.
weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.